So I have to admit, I'm not quite sure if this is true, but I heard it from a very reliable source that in Weezer, somebody came down with the coronavirus and they went to work because you don't get paid unless you work, and they went to work and infected other people. And supposedly they also went to church there, St. Ignatius and St. Agnes. And St. Agnes, not everybody was wearing masks. Few people were. They weren't socially distancing. And so now it's a concern that at St. Agnes that other people could have been infected. And to me, so much could have been solved with this very low tech of a mask. And last week, somebody had a discussion with me, I'll put it that way. And this person was quite upset about masks and the whole thing. And I said, well, the bishop has ordered us to do this, and out of obedience, we're going to do it. And I was kind of surprised. I get it. People are stressed out. Everything has changed. People are at kind of the end of the ropes, and the guy is really angry. And he says, well, the bishop is a coward. And he goes off that it's his right. He shouldn't have to wear a mask if he's going to come to mass. And I was just thinking about that. Think about all the people at St. Agnes that could have been infected simply just if you would have worn a mask. It's such a kind thing to do. And one person was describing what it felt like to have coronavirus, and it said it was like there was hot tar in the bottom of their lungs. It just burned and hurt. If you could save somebody that much pain just by wearing a mask, why not? I just think it's an incredible act of love. Do it for love. Do it for other people. Rather than think about how it inconveniences you or your rights, you could flip it around and say, well, if you really love other people, why wouldn't you want to protect them? If you really care about community, why wouldn't you want to do something? And to say that you're Catholic means that you care about this deep communion with God and other people. It's never just about me and God or my rights. To say that you're Catholic, you live in this deep communion with other people, with Christ, the Holy Spirit, even all those in heaven. Community is part of what it means to be Catholic. So if you call yourself Catholic, why not think of the mask as a way of promoting love? Otherwise, it's kind of like the Princess Bride. You call yourself Catholic, but I don't think you know what that word means. And even I'll give you an example. So people say things. And when I was living in L.A. Many years ago, I was living in L.A., really more of a stopover. But I would go to this one coffee shop I liked. And L.A. is this big city, right? So I go to this coffee shop, and you get to kind of meet the regulars. And I met this guy, and these two guys. I met him, and this one guy says, I start talking to him, and I said, well, what do you do in L.A.? And he says, well, I'm a writer. Well, that really impressed me. I mean, I just consider writers to be so erudite and intelligent, so that really piqued my interest. And I said, oh, wow, what have you written? What books have you written? And he said, well, I haven't written any books. So immediately I kind of thought, well, the guy must be like a screenwriter or for shows or something. So I said, well, do you write for shows or television? He said, no, none of that. And so I said, well, are you currently writing a book? And he said, no, I'm not writing anything. So I said, well, does that mean you got your degree in literature? No, I haven't been to college. So this isn't just adding up to me. And the guy excused himself. And the other guy there said, well, that was rude of you. So I said, well, how was that rude of me? He said he was a writer. I just was taking interest. And he said, well, yeah, he's not a writer. He's a waiter. But nobody in L.A. says that they're a waiter. You have to always make yourself look better. So he said he was a writer, and you kept asking questions. And I said, well, if you say you're a writer, I had just assumed that you're writing. And he says, no, what it means is he feels like he was meant to be a writer. So I said, well, if I told people I was a neurosurgeon because I feel like I should operate on people's brains, that doesn't make me a neurosurgeon. That makes me crazy. Anyhow, my opinion. But if you call yourself Catholic, you should have this love of other people, not just you and Jesus. With the Holy Spirit running through me and all of you, we're one. The Spirit of love runs through us, and we care for other people. And Jesus is making this point in today's gospel, that it's about community. And this gospel, I have to admit, for many people, it's very boring. In the Gospel of John, it goes on for chapters, and it's Jesus' farewell speech at the Last Supper. And now, in the Gospel of John is mostly chapters of the Last Supper, his death and resurrection. That's basically the Gospel of John. And he gives this very long farewell speech. And if you know the Bible, you'll know that every time somebody dies in the Bible, they always give a farewell speech. And it always has the exact same pattern. It's a gathering of the 12. It's always 12, no more, no less. God always uses the number 12. Gathers of 12 people. Then the person gives this farewell speech and blessing, ends with a moral code, and then names his successor. So Jacob doesn't. He gathers his 12 sons and names Judah as his successor. And Moses gathers the 12 tribes, gives his blessing, a moral speech, and names Joshua. Joshua does it. Samuel does it. If you read the Bible, it's very, very common. So today's gospel, we're really going back to the Last Supper. And what Jesus mentions most is the Holy Spirit and love. So the moral code of Christ is the commandments of love. And then he names his successor. And his successor is the Holy Spirit. That's why he says, I will not abandon you. And he repeats the word love 12 times associated with the Holy Spirit. And the reason why we're going over this now in the Easter season is this time in the Easter season, we're preparing for Pentecost. We're preparing to receive the Holy Spirit. So the readings, they deal with the Holy Spirit. The first reading was the deacon Philip. And Philip, he prepares the Samaritans. And they get baptized. Philip was one of those rare good deacons. But a deacon can't confirm. Only a bishop or an apostle can. So St. Peter and St. John, they're shocked, and they go to Samaria, and they confirm him. It's a story about how the Holy Spirit moved among them. And we're hoping the same thing, that our hearts are prepared by Pentecost to really be controlled by the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of love. And so we would say, day by day, choice by choice, act by act, prayer by prayer, every act of love, we are preparing our hearts to be this place for the Holy Spirit to dwell. If we're Catholic, we're hoping to move deeper into being one with the Holy Spirit, the indwelling of the Holy Spirit, that it controls us. It's our law. And Jesus says in Greek, the paraclete. He'll give us a paraclete. That doesn't translate well. It can mean a lot of things. It can mean like a lawyer who defends you. A paraclete is somebody who will not leave your side. They'll always defend you. Little story, I was so impressed with this. About 20 years ago, I was having dinner with some friends, and this husband tells his wife, he says, listen, if anything ever happens, if an emergency happens and you can't get a hold of me and you don't know what to do, call Christian Zimmerman. Christian Zimmerman was one of their friends and super smart, very aggressive, and he will always find a way. And I thought that was the greatest compliment. Like, think of somebody in your life who you know when things got bad, they would never leave your side. They will push you through it. That's a paraclete. Or it's somebody like a third base coach who's just encouraging you to keep moving on and going on. That's what Christ gives us, is the Holy Spirit, pushing us deeper into this law and life of love and community. And the trick is this: if we receive the paraclete, then we're supposed to be a paraclete for other people. We're supposed to be helping, encouraging people to move into the way of love. So we're moving more and more into love. And so as we open up our parishes, as we open up our homes and businesses, I'm hoping we'll lean into the Holy Spirit. That we'll be actually more connected as a community, more open. And this one CDC doctor said this, and they did this study. The virus actually moves very quickly through a community. But then they did this study on emotions, and they found out that anger moves faster than a virus through the community. Well, if we're talking about the Holy Spirit giving us the power to love, why can't love move faster than a virus or anger? As we open up, hopefully we're opening up to becoming even deeper in love and care for each other. A mask, that's a little tiny thing. And yes, it's been hard on a lot of people. Everybody's a little stressed out. I hear it all the time. But have you ever heard of PTSD, post-traumatic distress disorder? People go through a hard time and it's a disorder. But psychologists have also found some of those hard events doesn't just create PTSD. In this blessing, it creates PTSG, post-traumatic growth, where suddenly after something horrible, instead of it breaking you, people actually skyrocket to be more compassionate, more giving. In this time period where we're prepared to receive the Holy Spirit in a deeper way, why can't this be a PTSG, greater growth in love and care? And to call yourself Catholic, that means we're concerned about this deep communion of the Holy Spirit that unites us with other people. We always choose love so that our hearts can become a dwelling place for the Holy Spirit. And so, together, let us stand and offer our prayers.